welcome back to another episode of Talking Tongue, the weekly show where I get to talk to my friends near and far to talk about pop culture and happy shit and movies, TV shows, not TVs. We talk about the new TVs on the market on Talking Tongue now. This show always changes. And here to talk about her favorite brand of TV is Victoria Lulloff.
It's a Sony.
Is it? Do you have a Sony TV?
Do I? No, it's LG. It heard me too because I think it's a smart one.
Oh,
I'm
no.
gonna be in trouble.
Self-destructing. It's in sad phase.
Hi, guys. Hello. Hi,
Victoria,
Tom.
so happy to have you back in the pod cavern. But, you know, some people don't even know who you are. You've only really popped up and ranked, but we have thousands, hundreds of thousands of listeners just for Talking Tongue, and they need to know who you are. So please introduce yourself.
Yeah, I'm started off in the pod cavern as a rankin' baby. When Tom's rankin' baby.
Rankin' baby.
It's always such a good time. I'm totally excited to do Talking Tongue. So I am an Ottawa area actor, performer and playwright, and good time haver.
Cat belly scratcher.
Cat belly scratcher. Yeah, you guys are, just to give you the heads up, you will be hearing her throughout this conversation.
Amazing.
Because,
and we're
she's here beside me and chatting.
We're finally doing like a video thing because on Talking Tongue, since COVID started, it's actually even before that, it was kind of just me on the screen and not anybody else. But this time I get to see you, Victoria.
Yeah, not only do I not know phone or TV brands, but I have an outdated laptop. So here we are using Zoom.
You have enough money to buy a LG and a Sony, but not a new laptop.
Oh, it's from my grandparents' cottage. I didn't even buy the TV. I got it at the start of quarantine because I was like, oh no.
Yeah. Well, that's a good call. Thank you, grandparents.
Yeah. Thanks, Grandma.
The nice thing about the video call is I probably finally get to see Hellspite. I've only seen pictures and I guess I've seen like Instagram stories.
Do you want to see her?
Yeah. For all the audio listeners, I'll describe Hellspite.
Hold on. Let's get her. Hi, bud.
Okay, here we go. Hellspite, for the people at home who can't see, very fluffy kitty.
Yeah.
Long whiskers, beautiful, beautiful coat, and absolutely cuddly, looking me straight in the eyes and being like, "Are we on a podcast?" And that's all I got. How do you think Hellspite is feeling to be on Talking Tongue?
So she's very excited about it. She would love to have a conversation at some point. Should you like to have her on? She has very strong opinions about cat food.
Oh, yeah?
And drinking water out of the bathtub. That is something she can just talk for hours about, drinking water out of the bathtub. So
amazing. Yeah. Well, we'll be happy to have, Hellspite, if you want to stick around the podcast, please do. We have a very exciting episode. So
great. I mean, we're good for swearing on this one, right? Because she's got a sailor's mouth. Okay, great. Good. Okay. Gonna hear a lot of F-bombs.
Oh, from the cat? Oh, wow. Highly trained cat here. Victoria, what are the things besides Hellspite that keeps you happy during the pandemic?
Oh, man. Well, I had a really busy life before things started closing down. So I went a little stir crazy maybe for the first little bit because I'm accustomed to my day job. I'm a public servant like many in Ottawa, and then working in the arts. So my evenings were free for the first time in 10 years. So I found a lot of joy just being outside as much as possible. I would go we've had beautiful weather in Ottawa this week, so I've been able to keep it going. It's been a real blessing. I'll go outside for 3-4 hour long walks if I can.
Oh my God.
It's a great way to social distance because you can go with a buddy, and you can kind of, and I mean, again, Ottawa's great because we've got the canal. I live in the Golden Triangle in Centertown, so it's a nice neighborhood and I get to be outside. I found a new yoga channel on YouTube, Sarah Beth Yoga. So I've subscribed to that, and I do it a bunch of times.
How many downward dogs do you have to do? Is that a yoga position?
It is, yeah. Yeah, totally. You're on it. You got it. You like 3.5,
3.5.
or more, many more.
What's the cow one? Cow toe?
Cat cow?
Cat cow?
Cat
Cat
cow?
cow?
Yeah,
Okay.
so where you just like in like table, so you're on all fours and you just go like up and down. It's cat cow.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm learning a lot about yoga, so this is good.
Are
Uh,
you?
so walking, yoga, social distancing with people a little bit far, but you're
Yeah.
outside, so it's a little bit easier to see people, not go crazy at
Yeah.
home.
Yeah, not too bad. I mean, I don't technically have a bubble because I'm a single person who lives alone.
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of FaceTiming and a lot of just kind of getting used to the idea of being 6 feet away from my friends. But really, I don't like them that much anyway, so the distance is good.
Oh no.
I'm kidding.
And they're
I'm kidding.
probably listening to the show, so.
They smell. My smelly friends. No, it's me. I'm the one who smells.
Well, no, you smell. Well, actually, I can't smell you at all because you're
You
very
don't
far
know.
away from me. So I'm
You
sure
don't
you
know.
smell great.
Thank you.
I haven't showered in days, so I know I smell terrible.
You don't need to.
I
You
don't
don't need
need
to. You
to.
got it locked down,
Who
man.
am I
Like you're
impressing?
good.
Laura, Captain Meatball? Like, who cares?
Yeah. Oh my God, we haven't talked about Captain Meatball.
Oh
Have
yes.
you you've talked about him on the cast,
You know
obviously.
what?
You've
I'm not
gotten
sure
into
how
it.
much I have talked about him on the
Tell
cast.
me
Like,
everything about him. This is exciting.
yeah, this is now the Captain Meatball It's now a pet podcast. Hellspite, Captain
Yeah.
Meatball. Captain Meatball is my black lab mix dog that we rescued end of September. He is a fun little excited boy all the time who loves to get in trouble and eat everything when he goes on walks. Very annoying, especially if he grabs a dead animal or something,
Oh,
or if you're like,
oh.
uh-oh, that's I don't know what that is, but he's trying to eat it. Very fun boy when it comes to walks. Or when he sees like other dogs, he's just like so pumped up to see them that he's just like can't wait to go play with them, or he'll get into like a down position. He'll just wait for the dog to get closer to him, and
Oh
then he'll
my
try to
God.
pounce on them. Very cute. But he's just he is everything about him takes up all of my free time these days. It's so hard to stick around just in the pod cavern because I'm so busy training him, and then some days are like easier and some days are harder. I feel like it's like a child, and then
Yeah.
by the end of the day when they're just like being good and like sleepy and just cuddly, you're like, worth it.
Earned it. Yeah. Yeah, that's been my mentality too. I mean, like having a pet, I mean, that means you've chosen to have a sentient, living, conscious being in your life whose happiness and quality of life is entirely dependent on you.
Yeah.
And it's like it's beautiful, but it is a lot of it. Like we can't compare it to childbearing because
I
people will
will.
attack us.
No, people will attack us. You're right.
I've had
I
people
won't.
really mad at me about it because I used to make a lot of jokes about raising two teenagers. But it certainly is a beautiful and fulfilling thing that has its own struggles for sure.
Totally.
Mm-hmm.
And it's frustrating because, you know, the Captain Meatball is like less than a year old. So he's just learning his manners. Of course, he
Yeah.
doesn't understand. He came from like the reserve and like stuff like that.
He's a res dog. Okay,
Yeah.
cool.
So it's like a whole,
Yeah.
like you gotta empathize with like everything is new with him. So if he does
Yeah.
something naughty, he doesn't know. He's
Yeah.
like he you know, like it's like it's frustrating, but then you got to remember to take a step back and be like, you know what, like I've been around much longer than this dog and I'm expecting too much out of him right now. So
Yeah.
hopefully he behaves as the years to come. But like I will say, like I'm full in on dog training. Like I am just like every waking moment is like, how do I train this dog? And if he's sleeping, then I'm going to go read this book on dog training. I'm going to watch these videos. I'm going to go to review the notes from the class that I took last week. It's like a whole thing.
I've got a friend who's a professional dog trainer. So if you'd like, I can set you up with, if nothing else, her Instagram because she's great.
Oh yeah.
If you'd like, if that's of interest to you. Yeah.
Send me some insties.
I will.
But yeah, that's Captain Meatball. I was going to say he can come down, but no. He's restrained to the living room for now. And if he becomes good, we'll give him the rest of the access to the house. That's the rule.
That sounds good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But anyways, news of the week. Week?
News of the week. It was a weepy week.
Was
a lot of emotions this week.
There's a lot of emotions. We talked like moments before recording if we're like, do we bring up the election at all? And we said, mostly no. Mm-hmm. I wouldn't say too complicated for feelings for me. More like I'm very happy. And then it's like long road ahead. But
Yes.
but
Yes. Those are my exact feelings.
yeah,
Yeah.
but very happy. So I got
Relieved.
relieved. Obviously a lot of stuff will be coming for Fallout, and things won't be going
Mhm.
down without a struggle. I'm trying to be as like vague as possible. Like there's gonna be,
Yeah.
it's gonna be very bumpy. But I finally yesterday I was like, I'm just so happy. We just felt
Mhm.
so happy yesterday. Yesterday being Saturday, we're recording this on a Sunday, and yeah, I just took the day to like, you know what? I'm going to forget about all the stuff that needs to happen for things to, be better in the world, and just take
Yeah.
this win and just get drunk. So
Oh.
I was like, let's party. I'm just like, I like smoked some weed. I drank some beer, had
Oh,
some
wow.
champagne, y'all. And, ate like 5 croissants and like just being like, I deserve this.
That is the silliest thing in the world. That's so great. You know how I want to party? A croissant. I'm
Yeah.
gonna eat 5 of them.
Well,
Buttery.
I bought a one of those big packs from Costco, and Laura's like, "Why'd you
Yeah,
buy that? Like, those go bad in like 2 days." And I'm like, "Well,
not the
I
way
guess
you
I
eat
gotta eat a
croissants.
bunch."
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh man, that is something that like if there's gonna be a reason for me to get into like a domestic partnership of any sort, it's gonna be so that I can use Costco.
Oh,
Because like as one individual, it makes no sense.
doesn't
It
make
makes no
sense.
sense for me to buy bulk. No, but I miss the cookies.
Yep.
Yeah. I want to get some cheap sweatpants. It's, live that life. Live that Costco
Live that
life.
Costco life. Costco
Yeah.
life is pretty good, but it's annoying. It's really annoying to be in there. There's a lot of people.
Yeah. Yeah. I imagine right now it is not a fun place to hang
Well,
out.
it's better. It used to be like you line up around the back of the building, and they let
Oh
people
my
in one by
God.
one. That was the beginning of the pandemic. Finally, I
Uh-huh.
think stores have figured out a better way to do things, but it's also
Yeah.
like it's a lot. But you know what? Hey, that value in bulk.
Hey, that's like peak domesticality. Is just like that one of your weekend days is spent at Costco.
Yeah, and I was pumped about it too. I was like, yeah, I have the morning off to do this. Captain Meatball's busy. He's eating his breakfast. I'm going to go out and go to Costco, baby, and spend $150.
On croissants.
Oh,
That's
okay.
amazing.
The news of the week, besides that, the election stuff, which we've already said enough about that, but let's talk about the things that matter, like Johnny Depp. I'm just pulling up some IGN articles here.
Yeah.
Johnny Depp drops out of Fantastic Beasts franchise following the allegations of him and Amber Heard, and it's very complicated. It seems
Yeah.
as though WB mostly just doesn't want to deal with any of that, so they asked him to resign. As
Wow.
Grindelwald.
That's been a really interesting saga, that whole thing. And I'm not a lawyer and I wasn't there, so I can't comment on it. But like, I don't know. I feel like if anybody needs to be removed from that franchise, it's J.K. Rowling.
I think that's a good answer. And I'm going to go
Yeah.
ahead and say this might be controversial for the audience at Talking Tongue, or maybe you, Victoria, but I I don't think the Fantastic Beasts movies are very good.
I have not been able to get through them. I started the first one, got
Hmm.
30 minutes in, fell asleep. And I'm
Yeah,
not a movie sleeper. I mean, I'm like a put something on while I sleep at night person, but I'm not a movie sleeper. And it
yeah.
just didn't hold me. Just didn't hold me.
Did you like the other Harry Potter films?
Oh my God. It's how I got through the first 2 months of quarantine was the audiobooks and I love those movies.
Oh, which
Yeah.
one? Which version? I've listened to the
Oh,
audiobooks too.
uh gosh, it's been a while because I have an audiobook voice actor rant to follow. But who was it? I think it's like the standard. Well, they're both British. They're probably both British, aren't
Yeah,
they?
they're both British.
Yeah,
There's
okay. What are their names? Because
I
there's
don't
one of them there's
remember.
the other one.
I was gonna
You
hope
know what? It was good.
it
It
was
was
good.
good.
I'm gonna look it
It
up
was
now, but
good.
you keep talking. Give me your rant about
Yeah.
audiobook authors.
Oh, I am a huge fan of audiobooks. Let me tell you, I'm very into them because I like walking with one on. I love doing my laundry to podcasts or to audiobooks. As you know, I usually throw on the podcast run if I'm doing my Friday night cleaning of my apartment.
Mm-hmm.
But I switched over to audiobooks for a bit, and I love the Game of Thrones series. It's kind of something that like
in
is like
audiobook form.
Everything to do with the world of Ice and Fire. I freaking love. I love the deep dive YouTube videos, the conspiracy theories, all of it.
Mm-hmm.
The reader of the version of the Game of Thrones audiobooks that I have mispronounces names.
Oh no. Who is
He
what
says,
what do they say?
Caitlin Stark, which at first I was like, I'm gonna let it pass. Patire Baelish
Get out of here.
was the one that I was like, I'm mad now. I'm mad now.
No way. How do you hire someone to read Game of Thrones if they don't know how to pronounce?
You know, I think it goes along with controversial. I think it goes along with you hire a really famous person to do the voice acting, Beyonce and the Lion King, and they don't do a great job, but everyone's too afraid to direct them, Beyonce and the Lion King. You know? Where it's like, this isn't exactly what
sorry, Beyonce.
it should be.
If you're listening out there, if you're listening.
You're phenomenal. I loved you in Goldmember. I don't know what else you might be known for other than
not your
ruling
music,
the music
certainly.
industry. Oh my God. No, I do love Beyonce. Please no one come for me. I adore Beyonce. She was not great in The Lion King.
Agreed.
Yeah. So it's one of those things where it's like, you know, like when your favorite things in the world and someone just does this like arguably little thing where you're like, you've ruined it. You ruined this for me.
Jim Dale and Stephen Fry. Those were the two. I listened to the Jim Dale one.
Jim Dale. That was who I listened to as well.
He's great.
Yeah.
He's great.
He is great. He's wonderful. Yeah.
I'm in the same vein of like audiobooks. I used to get really into them and then I was like too expensive. But
they are.
Audible, you know, you get one free book or whatever. It's pretty great deal, I guess, for Audible, but I just found my ability to absorb audiobooks, even like narrative podcasts. You know, there's a lot of podcasts out there, for example, Marvel ones, for example, where it's like they built an entire story of like the Wolverine and it's in podcast format where it's like episodes and you're like, oh, I could get it behind this. And then the way I absorb podcasts is like I throw it on while I'm doing something, but I'm really bad at fully paying attention to a thing while doing something, you know? Driving, different story, because driving is kind of like autopilot, which I guess is kind of dangerous, but like, but if I'm
you're
like
facing out the windshield.
Right, exactly. But if I'm trying to do anything else while listening to an audiobook, I find it very easy to just lose track of what's happening.
Yeah, that's fair. That's totally fair. Yeah.
You have higher brain power than me, is what I'm saying.
No, I have ADHD. I think that's what it is.
No.
I need something else. Because otherwise the narrative my own brain creates is so intense that I can't do anything else. So I need someone else in there to be like, oh, Patire. So I can like think about something different. That's really what it is. Yeah.
What else do we have? What else do we have in the news? Not much. But let's see. Did you ever watch the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles? Of
course I did.
90s movies?
Mm-hmm.
And like, you know, in those old ass costumes and stuff like that.
They were great. Yeah.
So good. Yeah. They want to bring back that version of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles and like make a whole other franchise with that like type of costumes and stuff.
Okay, so they would be doing like throwback 90s costume and set design, I guess.
Yeah.
That's interesting. I totally would. Of course I would. That's you know, I think it's neat to see those things melded. Like if you're going to go for nostalgia, go for nostalgia because they'll know better how to light it now. Because I remember the movies being quite dark.
Yes.
So if you're taking that kind of because they were like, they're not realistic because they're turtle costumes, but they were a realistic touch and feel. Like it wasn't the CGI, right?
Yeah, it was just all
find that fascinating. Mm-hmm. I think CGI and like the electric stuff that they can do, I don't know, technology, the electric stuff they do with binary codes is neato. But I find like tangible costume and prop design fascinating, so cool. So I want to see that. Yeah, you know,
I think that's why like practical stuff is what you like. Yeah, like practical and yeah, like instead of a CG costume, you know, have a real
None of this
costume.
Green Lantern stuff. You
None
know
of
what
the
I
Green
mean?
Lantern stuff. None of this Ryan Reynolds, like whatever.
Yeah, Ryan, congratulations on Deadpool, but we remember.
I'd be stoked to see it. I mean, like I love Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. I haven't really followed them in any sense for a very long time. I watched the first Michael Bay one and didn't watch the second one. But I'm down to see these turtles back in action.
Heck yeah. Turtle and a half
Michelangelo.
shell, man. Let's do it.
Turtle power. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, okay, so we're gonna do a quiz later, but if you had to be one of the turtles, who are you?
Ooh, that is a great question. I always identified with I think it's Donatello, who's purple, right?
The nerd.
Okay, good.
Yeah,
Embarrassing. I did. I always identified, ironically, with his rational approach to things. Not my vibe, but definitely completes my vibe.
Okay.
And so
Yeah.
maybe I wouldn't be him, but I think that we would make good partners in
Okay.
crime fighting, in life, you know?
So if you had to marry one of the turtles,
Oh, yeah, I'd
or
marry
have a
Donatello.
relationship with one of the turtles,
Yeah.
it'd be
Yeah.
Donatello. Okay.
It would. Yeah.
What about Shredder? Like the bad guy, would you have a relationship with him?
Here's the thing, okay? And I have thought this through. I would be fine living a life of crime. I really do think that I would. I think that, like, I've got a 5-year plan that, you know what, I will share with the Podcavern audience.
Please do.
I eventually want to run some kind of commune / cult. And I've had to do a lot of thinking about where my personality and skill set aligns with that. But I've also thought about, you know, it's a dangerous world for women. It can be. And I think that I would just choose Stockholm Syndrome. You know, I would just fully invest in it and then win them over. Like,
right.
I would like get Stockholm Syndrome and then like give it to them. So I would be okay with it. I think that I could make it work with Shredder.
Okay, this is good.
I think
to
eventually
know.
I would be like the next gen Shredder is like how I would work it out.
Oh, that's interesting. So Shredder is
like
female.
a little coup.
Oh, I like it.
know?
I like it.
Yeah.
Oh, that very cool. I love this idea. I love this plan that you're going to build a cult one day. And you know, you're just taking over a cult really, because the Foot Clan and Shredder, they already have a cult. So like,
yeah, like they're set. So like,
you don't have
really,
to start a new one. You just have
I don't
take
need
over.
to rebuild the infrastructure, but I can, you know, make good change, make positive change, you know, for New York.
Wow. Yeah. I love it. I have one more news story for you this week.
Okay.
Actually, maybe two. Actually, maybe one. I didn't read this one enough to really. Well, you know what? Let's just read it and I'm just going to infer and see what happens. Is that humans abusing sad robots, subject of new study. Apparently, there is, and I'm totally skimming through this article, so I could be completely wrong. But apparently, humans are very mean to robots. They're very mean to them, and they don't empathize with them really well. The whole idea of this study, it seems like that Walmart is really weird how it's written, is laying off 500 robots. So 500 robots are going to be out of a job, and instead humans are going to replace these robots and get their jobs.
They took our jobs.
They took our jobs.
They took our jobs. Wow. You know, what's that expression? What's the term for that where we like humanize inanimate objects? Canadians do it. We apologize when we walk into furniture. We apologize to the furniture.
Right.
I forget what that's called, but it's a thing humans do. So I'm disappointed that we're not doing it to these poor, potentially homeless robots or jobless at the very least. Yeah.
They apparently set up an experiment to see if humans would show more empathy if bystanders robots express sadness, like a Wall-E type of thing, you know, like or like an Eva, where like they show like a sad face or something. And apparently humans don't. Do
you know why?
Don't care. Why?
Do you know why? Because the practical technology that lives in our lives can't compare to Pixar. So Pixar is just so cute that's our beauty standard for robots, and that's not fair to robot kind. That our expectation for perfection be based off Pixar.
I'd
robots.
rather the robots of the future look more like Pixar or Star Wars and less of this like real people business.
Yeah, no,
I don't
thank
want
you.
that.
No, it's rude. I don't appreciate it.
What if you fall in
When
love
they
with a
look like
robot? What if
you make it work, you know?
yeah.
Love is love,
Love
tongue.
is love.
Yeah.
Right, you're right.
Love
You're
is
right. I
love.
mean,
All
like
these
people have,
robosexuals, running
and
around.
they have the technology now to make these robots
They
sexual.
do.
So it's
Meh.
complicated.
Spark Sly.
I've heard many stories, especially in Asia, where they fall in love with like, technology essentially, where
Hmm.
like people have definitely married androids before,
Yeah.
and married. One of them was like on the Nintendo DS. There's like this video game. I might have brought this up in the past on Talking Tom, but there's this video game of like one of those dating sims, and
Yeah.
you fall in love with whatever girl in this dating sim, and the guy got married to this girl on the DS. So like the picture is like them over an archway and him and like a Nintendo DS with like the game open.
I
Thoughts?
think that's taking it to another level, but I think that humans are imaginative people. That's why we've created all of these things. And if you even just think about the way that we idolize and create fantasy personalities for celebrities, like we decide who they are a lot of the time, right? Like based on whatever the press releases or, their social media, and we become infatuated with people that we don't know.
Yeah.
And I think the only thing stopping us from taking those things too far is the fact that they are actual people who can consent or not, or we'll never actually meet them. But if you are someone who can create a fantasy that deep and ingrained and be that infatuated, I mean, it in a weird way, it makes sense to me that somebody would want to, who would convince themselves or think that that would be what they want to do.
Yeah.
I mean,
guess.
like, it's a real stretch. I'm not saying it's not weird. I'm just saying that, like, people are weird.
People are weird.
We do a lot of weird stuff.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, whatever makes you happy, as long as it doesn't hurt other people. That's how I feel.
How is that different from like a Clay Aiken poster in your bedroom?
Oh my God, my sister had a Clay Aiken poster.
A lot of us did, Tom. Careful what you say next.
It's really funny because this is a tangent, but one of my sisters loved Lance Bass and the other one loved Clay Aiken. Both of them came out.
Yeah. Well, they're gentle. They're gentle.
gentle.
That's very appealing to a teenage girl.
Yeah, you don't want your Howies. Man. You don't want your AJs.
I did like Howie, actually.
You like your Howie?
Yeah, Howie was the Backstreet Boy of my heart. Yeah.
Really? Is it because he took off his shirt at every music video he could?
Oh, it might have been. I was a weird little creep. So it could very well be that.
Okay, well, our next story is about Howie. No, I don't have anything about Howie. You know what? Fuck it. Let's just get into it. Let's get into the movie of the week. Victoria, you chose this movie. Can you say why you chose it and why you chose it?
Totally. I will tell you, there's a little two-parter to it. I chose, do I say the title of it or do I?
Yes, please do.
I chose The Mummy.
There. Something underneath that sand.
They came to uncover its secrets.
Mummies, my good son. This is where they made the mummies.
They sought to unlock its treasure.
And then there was light.
Oh, boy.
What they did.
Oh, my God. It does exist.
I think this may be the Book of the Dead.
Was unleash a force unlike any the world has ever known.
The Brendan Fraser version. I think it's 1999.
It is.
Yeah, 1999's The Mummy, starring Brendan Fraser and Rachel Weisz. Mm-hmm. Because it's a great freaking movie. I loved this movie when it came out. Saw it in theaters. It was a family movie. It's kind of got something for everybody. And then we'll get more into that. But it was something my entire family enjoyed. We loved this series.
Yeah. Would you say it's a family movie? Like, I remember it being I remember it being a family movie too. And then on rewatch, I'm like, this is pretty
spicy.
violent.
It's spicy and violent. Yeah.
There's a lot of stuff that happens.
some jokes in there where I was like, oh, okay.
Even like,
But in all fairness, in 1999, I was like 13. So
true.
I was a bit older, but like my youngest sister would have been like 9. So I don't know. Yeah.
Yeah, there's some promiscuous stuff that happens. Even the
Some
outfits are kind of like
spicy
raunchy.
jokes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, great. Yeah, so we're talking about the 1999 one, and the Mummy is like, it's a big franchise. Like there's some history behind it because there was
Heck
the
yeah.
Mummy stuff. There's Mummy movies way before the Brendan Fraser stuff. I think the Brendan Fraser stuff is what we grew up with, like our age group. But some people I guess they didn't grow up with it because it's only a couple years ago. But the Tom Cruise one, the Dark Universe, I never saw it.
Yeah, I didn't see it either. You know what? I will say I don't mind Tom Cruise. I think that he is really good at what he does. Very charismatic on screen. Excellent, stunt man guy. I believe Tom Cruise when I see him on screen. I'm ready to buy in. But it just didn't look like a good movie.
It looked long, but also
it looked long, boring.
Yeah. Like I like.
There was no Brendan Fraser.
There was no
what
Brendan
am I supposed
Fraser.
to do? Yeah.
Oh my God! Let's talk about. He is a handsome fella in this movie.
Oh, you know what? He's a handsome fella.
He's a handsome fella.
I mean, that's a good-looking man. What I like is Brendan Fraser is what the kids would call a wholesome king.
Okay,
I think that's what the kids say nowadays. I'm very in touch with Gen Z. Where he's sweet and he's like, like he's got a very dad vibe. He's got a very sweet vibe. Like he's someone you can grab a beer with, he's got like buddy vibes.
Yeah, and he has that goofy personality. I assume you've never played any of the Uncharted games, or maybe not know what that is.
No,
but
not
Tom
much
Holland,
of a gamer.
Okay, Tom Holland is playing a character called Nathan Drake in called Uncharted. It's based on a video game. It's about like a treasure hunter who is kind of like he is very invested in like, let me find the next treasure. Is very knowledgeable about that kind of stuff. But he also is like a goof as well. It's like, like a lot of Nathan Fillion's characters he plays. It's kind of one of those where he's like, he can be serious, but a lot of times he's kind of like goofing through life and like, I feel like Brendan Fraser's character in this movie was like on the cusp of that, it's 1999. So I don't think they've like solidified that type of character in the world yet, but you can see the makings of that character in Richard O'Connell. O'Connell, I guess it was. Let me ask you, how did you think the performances were for everyone in this movie, but mostly Brendan Fraser?
So that was something that like I really, really like clicked in for me on my rewatch, which we found out last night. We rewatched it at like the exact same time, which is hilarious. I liked how every single actor in that movie, fantastic comedic timing. Like just across the board, like really good timing. And I mean, there's shticky bits, right?
Yeah.
But there's when a shtick is done well, it's good. Like there's a reason that they're like classic. Rachel Weisz is fantastic. Like she's such a wonderful actress. Oh, she's so great. And she's done wonderful things since.
She has, and she looks so different than she did.
Yeah, it's the eyebrows. She had an eyebrow glow up between the first and second Mummy movies. But you know what? We all did. The 90s were a difficult time for eyebrows, Gwen Stefani. So let's just allow ourselves that, and her that.
Of course. Yeah, I had a lot of fun with a lot of the characters in this, and like especially like Richard I keep saying O'Connell, but that's wrong.
Rick O'Connell. Yeah,
it's O'Connell. I'm just gonna call him O'Connell because that's way easier.
Yeah.
He's just such a fun character to see around. Like he definitely has his goofy bits, but he also something about him like pulling out a gun and just shooting a bunch of like mummy creatures and scarabs is like, oh yeah, fuck him up. Brendan Fraser is so good. And then who else? The Benny character I thought was also like really like
great,
so good. Yeah. He's so what's the word? Smarmy. Like,
he's
like,
just a smarmy guy.
But he has a lot of good comedic timing too. And I was thinking, I think the main complaint about the 2017 movie, which I haven't seen, was that it took itself way too seriously, where this one took itself seriously enough, I felt.
Yeah. Yeah, it absolutely did. I mean, like, human beings infuse humor in like even awkward situations, right? Like we just naturally kind of do it, or at least my friends and my surrounding people do.
Yeah.
You know, you can be in the middle of a conflict and someone throws out a funny line. You know, it's just something that happens. So I think that when you remove that piece, it's not as interesting to watch. So
Yeah.
it's cute. Yeah.
Is there any favorite moments in the movie?
Of course.
Yeah,
There's
let's hear
like
it.
there's that great one after the Magi sink their boat or set the boat on fire. And because it's the two teams going to Hamunaptra at the same time, and they've just agreed. So there's the Americans, and there's lots of great jokes about, you know, Americans and being blustery people. And then they've got Rick O'Connell on their team, but they're technically British, even though he's an American. So the ship is on fire, and they've all got to abandon. And they're on opposite sides of the bank of the river. It's probably the Nile, I think. My Egyptian geography isn't amazing. It's pretty good. It's pretty good.
Okay.
I think it's the Nile. And then Benny and the American team is on one side, and they've got all the horses. And he yells, "Hey, O'Connell!
Oh, yeah.
Guess what? Looks like we have all the horses." And then Rick yells back, "Hey, Benny! Looks like you're on the wrong side of the river."
It's such it's such a.
This is a great little. Yeah.
That's just a fun little exchange. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's fun. I wrote a bunch of stuff here, but like I every time I make notes for a movie, like I look at it back and I'm like, what actually happened here? Because like I wrote the word flim flam because someone said that at some point, and I laughed because someone said kissy wissy. I think that was what's his face, the brother's character,
Jonathan.
Yes, that guy. Let's see.
Oh, he said that to the camel. He said it to the camel. How about a little kissy wissy?
Because the premise of the story, it's pretty, I wouldn't say intense, but there's like a lot going for it. But you need those lighter moments to make it, you know, be like, hey, it's okay if you don't understand it all. It's like, oh, whatever anyways, because it's all like, there's a lot of, what's the word? I'm losing the word here. But anyways, there's a lot of like books and what's that word? What's that thing? The thing in like movies where it's like an arbitrary object that you
a MacGuffin?
A MacGuffin, yes. Thank you.
Yeah.
Oh, I knew that. But there's a lot of MacGuffins in this movie here. There's like one book, now there's another book, now there's like this key.
There's a key.
There's like so many things, but it's like it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter.
Yeah. Well, so it's now just occurred to me. I think what's so great, because I love movies like this, and I love the Indiana Jones series. Just love it. What I like is most of the characters, like our leads in this, excepting Jonathan, of course. So between Evie and Rick, they're both kind of Indiana Jones.
Right. Yeah.
Like, so she's the archaeologist. She can do all the exposition. She's got all like the knowledge information. He's got a bunch of it himself from the practical experience. And he's kind of the rough and tumble, bang, bang, shoot 'em up dude.
Yeah.
And she gets in on that too. You know, like there's a really good balance between the two of them, instead of maybe the standard we'd seen in these adventure movies where it was like one person has all the information and is really leading the way and the other is like along for the ride. They kind of shared that. So
yeah, that is cool. I didn't even think about that. What'd you think about the CG? Because there's a lot of it in this movie.
There is.
Yeah. I mean, it's from the late 90s, so you have to throw it a bit of a bone. But what do you thought? What do you think?
I thought it was really good. I think that they used it well with a small little pin in that statement. They used it really well because it was like ghosts and spirits and stuff, right?
And like the mummy itself, yeah.
And the mummy itself. Like, I think they did a really good job because they didn't try to make it too human. You know what I mean? Like, it was just off. Like, by the time he was human again, like by the time Imhotep had all of his organs and everything he needed back, he was played by an actor.
Right.
So I thought it was pretty good. There were some really gruesome parts where like his mouth is still open. And
oh
he,
yeah, like the bug goes into his like face and then he eats it. Oh,
it was unbelievable CGI. The pin, it's related, but we don't need to talk about it. It's just, did you watch The Mummy 3, like the Scorpion King one? Or even the
like
second one
a
where
long
like,
time ago. I don't remember any of
okay,
them now. So
that CGI is notoriously bad.
it's worse.
It's so bad. Yeah. They like CGI The Rock's face and have him do like his little The Rock snarl back when he was still The Rock before they
Yeah.
let him be Dwayne. So comparatively, I have no issue with the CGI in this one. Did you not like it?
No, I thought it was like really great. Like it was definitely like a flashback to that era of CGI where it's just like, hey, look what we can do. And then you're like, I'm looking at it now. I'm like, that's a green screen. That's a green screen.
Yeah.
That's a weird thing. But like, it's also amazing at the same time because of it. I was just thinking about the Scorpion King and how there's like 4 of those movies too. And they're all spin-offs based on The Mummy. And I'm like, damn, this franchise is huge.
It's huge. They did a great job. It launched The Rock's acting career.
Yeah, I guess it did, eh?
Yeah, this was, I think, his like first, or like the Scorpion King, that movie was his first like, I'm an actor, this is how it goes, kind of, you know, like break into Hollywood.
Rock.
Yeah.
Now
but then we bought it. He's doing great.
He's doing really good. You're welcome, The Rock.
That movie where he was a babysitter, nailed it.
Was it him or was it Vin Diesel who was the babysitter?
I think they've both done it.
They both did one of those.
They followed in like Hogan's Mr. Nanny or like footsteps, and like that's what they do with like professional wrestlers. They're like, okay, we're gonna let you be an actor. Now the first movie you have to do, you've got to watch a small child, and it's gonna be funny because you're big and the child's little. It's gonna be hilarious.
That's so funny because I feel like John Cena did one.
Yeah, he totally
Dave Bautista is probably doing one. Like
he has to. Yeah,
you got to. It's a rite of passage.
Yeah,
like you said.
It is. Yeah, watch this small child. Yeah.
The
Pacifier.
The Pacifier. Thank you.
That's the one.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Jackie Chan did one too. I'm pretty sure where he was
yeah.
Yeah. I mean, he's not a wrestler, or is he like huge? But it was funny.
Jackie Chan was huge.
Huge?
Yeah.
He's like
like large?
Large. Like he's fit.
No, okay.
I mean, he was.
Fit.
He's like 60 years old now.
Exceptional, like martial artist. Yeah. Yeah.
Now my mind's just on Jackie Chan's body, but I'll go back to Benny. No. Who else can we talk about in this movie? What other favorites moments did you have in the movie? Or what did you think of like the pacing of it all?
I thought it was really well paced. I mean, like, I forgot how much happens in the movie. A lot happens. They go back and forth between like Cairo, Hamunaptra, England, like all over the place. Like
lots of wars happen. Not wars, but big battles.
Big battles, big sandy battles.
Yeah. Very sandy.
Very cool. Yeah.
Yeah. Because I think the whole thing is was it 2 hours, the whole movie?
It's about that, yeah.
Yeah. I felt like it went by pretty quick. Like it was like, oh, there's a lot of adventure happening in this.
Yes.
A lot of me thinking I'm learning a lot about Egypt, but probably not.
A little bit. They did an okay job. I mean, here's the thing. The movie was made in 1999. It was an American production of a movie set in Egypt with a lot of, different actors of different nationalities. I thought that was cool. Was like, I had captions on because I like to watch movies with captions.
And me too. All the time.
So good. The number of different languages spoken in it was really neat.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
There's so many different languages. Yeah.
I'm so happy I found someone else who just likes watching movies with captions because I enjoy it. I feel like I'm a dummy sometimes where I cannot hear what other people are saying, but it's so much easier. It's like, well, just put the captions and I can do both at the same time. It's not, doesn't take anything away from the movie for me or the TV show. I just get more out of it because I know what they're saying.
Oh, heck yeah. Normalized captions, man. They're great. They're really great. Yeah.
Let's see here. I was going to bring up, what was the thing? What did you think about the... my mind's all over the place because there's a lot of funny violence happening, but there's also just and my mind's also going to like how stupid some of these characters are, especially the other Americans and or the guy who gets his tongue ripped out and like his eyes ripped out, which is like, it sounds gross when I'm talking about it, but like he had some comedy moments too. I guess.
He did, yeah. He had that great moment where like Evie's got all of his tools. Like I guess he was like their version of Evie because you could tell because the actor had glasses on. So he was the smart one.
Right.
Where he's like, oh, those are my tools. And then they like draw their guns and he's like, maybe they're not. I don't know.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I was just thinking like when she was like, help me to, because the mummy is like coming to her, and I'm like, dude, this guy has his tongue ripped out and his eyes ripped out. You want this guy to help you? Like little moments like that where I'm just like, why would you? Come on, this guy's clearly can't help you here.
He's not in a good place. He's not. He doesn't have any spoons left to give you, lady.
The love story in The Mummy, classic. It's almost on Romeo and Juliet type, like level of love.
Yeah.
What did you think? It's very 90s, very early 2000s of like,
yes.
The instant you introduce the two protagonists, there's already a spark.
Yeah. Well, I mean, like even covered in sand, and in a Cairo prison, Brendan Fraser is a good looking man, and that's going to happen.
Immediately goes for the kiss.
He does. Grabs her face, like goes right in, get me out of here. I'm like, okay. Yeah.
It's intense. He's just like, well, I think, he kisses her and then he says, get me out of here. And I'm like, wow, I would never have the gall to just kiss a stranger and get that to be like one of the like things that like that was a motivator for her. He's like, wow, he's a good kisser. And later in the movie,
so they talk about it.
It's
super funny. There's like this great back and forth where she's like, well, why did you kiss me? And he said, I don't know, I was about to die. It seems like a good idea at the time.
Yeah.
And then like she was like, well, if you call that a kiss, and it's just like, that was silly. You're already in love.
Did you think it's cheesy and it's fun, but did you think it was like bad, I guess? Like, or what did you think about that?
Like objectively from like a 2020 point of view, you should not grab people and kiss them without their consent. But as much as we want to look at things with that lens, we shouldn't. I mean, we should because we're aware of these things, but I also don't think that it should take away from our enjoyment of things from the past. I mean, not if it's a plot point. If it's an actor who's kind of a butthead, you can look back and maybe it taints the experience of watching it. But you know what? Everything worked out in the end and it was cute, Sure. So it's,
I always find it funny in like I find it bad, not for like political reasons or social reasons, anything, like more like just like, oh my god, the tired trope from the 90s and early 2000s where like the instant they see each other, like there's something here, these really attractive people have never fell in love with anybody else up until this moment, and now they're in love, and it's just really funny seeing that play out throughout the movie.
Yeah, I think that's an interesting trope because like, especially if it's like a formative movie for you, like you watch it when you're a kid, you're like, that's how it happens.
Yeah,
that's how love happens. That's how I'm going to fall in love. And you know what? I will go on record and say like, I'm fully a believer in love at first sight. I think that there's a lot of different kinds of love in the world, but I experienced it myself. Like I fell in love with somebody that I saw like in passing once, and then what a beautiful love with this person. Obviously, being a single person, it didn't work out. They're still in my life, but I also don't mind that trope because I think as long as people don't rely on it, to be indicative of how love works, that it's cute. It's a nice thing to witness. It
was completely harmless, so I liked it. It wasn't like demeaning to like. Like you see that trope like in other movies and it's like pretty like demeaning to the woman actor in the movie. Whereas like you mentioned earlier that Evelyn, like she is much more capable than a lot of female leads in other movies, which is, there's been tons of good female leads since, but like this was like this is really nice and like very out of the norm in that era.
They gave her enough agency that it didn't seem like it was in any way diminishing to who she was and like her significance. Yeah. Whereas like, again, to like draw the parallel to Indiana Jones, I mean, I think it's Temple of Doom, you've just got that woman screaming through a lot of the movie and she doesn't have a whole lot of agency. Whereas like, Evie was one half of the Indiana Jones archetype. So equal partners. Yeah.
It was a surprise. I wrote a note here when she like started reading from the book. I'm like, I thought you were the smart one. Why'd you read from this book? She brought doom to everyone. And then she kissed a mummy later in the movie. I guess he kissed her and then she kissed him back later.
She was just trying to reverse Stockholm syndrome. That's what she was doing. She was in on the plan.
So how would you describe kissing a mummy?
Oh, probably weirdly dry.
Would it
You
be
ever,
weird?
I imagine it would be weird. I
Uh-huh.
think that there's something for everyone, you know? Have you ever left beef jerky in the car too long in August and then rubbed it across your face before taking a bite? I think it would be like that.
Oh my God, does this happen to you before? Because it feels like.
It hasn't. I'm just a really good describer.
Well, I'll wait till next August to try that out and ruin a
Please
perfectly
do.
good pack of
Shoot me a
beef
little
jerky.
text.
Scarabs that eat you slowly. I have to.
Oh,
It's one of the, and I just every time someone took one of the scarabs out of the wall, I'm like, you idiot. Not that like
fucking don't do it.
don't do it. Although like all the characters that did it, like all kind of died or like got affected in different ways, and they didn't see
Yeah.
like another person do it. So like people keep making the same mistakes in the movie,
Mhm.
and I'm like, man, it's especially Jonathan in the very end when he gets one too.
Oh, yeah.
And then Rick like just like knifes it out, and it's like, oh
Yeah.
yeah. That's
Yeah.
I was just thinking like how painful that would be. That's all I have to say about that.
Yeah, that was definitely, I think that watching it the first time when I was younger, those scarabs were scarier to me. They were scarabier to me than the mummy
No.
itself. No, we're not going to let.
Okay, I'll take it. I'll take it.
Thank you. Yeah, they definitely were like more of a like cover my eyes moment than the mummy itself. Like that is creepy. Like a little buggy, a little
Right.
ancient buggy in your skin eating you from the inside out. Yuckaroo, man. Like,
Scarabs versus like a giant sand wave that is in the shape of the mummy's face.
ooh. You're gonna suffocate in that sand, man.
Or
and
those animated like minions that Jonathan summons later and ends up
Oh.
killing his old wife, I guess, or old love interest.
yeah, a nux and a moon.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So which would you rather perish by? Giant sand wave scarabs or those minions?
Oh, okay. So if it's the minions, and particularly what they were going to do to Evie, so we should discuss the mummy's plan. The mummy, Imhotep, was
Mhm.
trying to resurrect Anck-su-namun, his true love, and put her soul in Evie's body.
Right.
My question is, how much of Evie would stay in the body? Because sometimes when we talk resurrection and like body and soul
Oh.
snatching, like a little bit of you stays inside. So is that like you get to continue to live, or are you gone?
That's interesting. That is, I don't know, because I feel like it would have to do with like I want to say religion, but I'm not sure if that's like the right word. But you know, like it's Egyptian, right? So like how do they?
No, Imhotep was a priest. The
Right,
actual
so
Imhotep, by the way,
how
was an
do-
architect who helped build one of the first pyramids, the
Oh.
Pyramid of Djoser.
Oh my God,
so
you
they
know a
took,
lot about this stuff.
I do. I love conspiracy shit. That Imhotep was actually an architect.
Okay,
And he helped
so
build one of the
with
pyramids.
that, because my knowledge on this stuff is very poor. All of my Egyptian knowledge comes from the Mummy and Yu-Gi-Oh. So that's, I feel like both are not a good barometer of how knowledgeable I am on this. So I will throw it back to you. How much do you think her Evie soul would be in there? I guess would she be able to retake control?
Oh, I really don't know. You can only speculate on that sort of stuff. But if she can stay a little bit in there, then I mean, no harm, no foul. You know, to keep going. Yeah. How would I rather die?
Oh
in
yeah,
this
that
movie?
question. Or
That's
the
really what
last
it comes
question
down to.
is to add on top of those. So you have the scarabs, you have the
Mhm.
sand wave, you have the minions, or Rick throwing a chair at you like he did at Benny later. You know, he did that like that was a really funny throw. He just threw the chair at Benny. I mean, I don't know. I'm describing it terribly. It was really funny in the movie.
Yeah. I think I would rather get body swapped for an ancient princess than like lose my organs and stuff to the mummy. I think that if those are the two things I'm choosing between,
Right.
you know what, just take the whole body. I don't want to go through the like diminishing, like the not diminishing, but like that process where like the mummy is slowly chasing you and taking out different organs. Like,
Oh,
no,
no, thank you.
that
No,
just doesn't
thank
sound
you.
fun.
Like,
You get
Benny should have just
sand in
got,
your eye sockets.
yeah,
You know?
Benny should have just
You're
got
in Cairo.
crushed by that thing. That would have been a much,
Oh
easier
yeah, a
death
crushing
than-
death, a nice quick crushing death.
I mean,
yeah,
it would
take that.
suck for
It
sure.
would.
Probably
Yeah.
better than getting eaten by a bunch of
You
scary.
know what though? Important note. I would be fine. I would survive these movies. Do you know why?
Why? Plot armor?
The special guest we had earlier in the podcast. You remember the part where Imhotep's afraid of the cat?
Oh, yeah.
Just bring this buddy around with me, and her, I don't know if you know this. I carry my cat around in a sling in the summer. She's got a
I
little
did not
baby
know that.
Bjorn.
That's adorable.
We go for little walkies. So I would be fine. I would survive these movies.
How did they explain that? Did I miss that? Of like,
Yes, because cats are the guardians of the underworld. So he
Wow.
was afraid. Yeah.
you are much more knowledgeable on the Mummy than I've ever been or will be. But maybe when you come back, we just watch the rest of the Mummy series. Mummy
Oh,
2,
we should do that.
3,
Yeah, that'd be great.
Scorpion Kings, all the ones I
The
went
second
direct
one
to
is
DVD.
great.
The second
The
one's
second
good.
one is really good. It's really good. There's some plot holes that like it contradicts some things from the first one.
wow.
One big thing, but we'll talk about that next time.
Any final thoughts on the Mummy before we wrap it up today?
Absolutely. I mean, if you haven't, it's one of those movies you can rewatch. It has rewatch value. It's there are some movies from our childhood where we're like, wow, that did not hold up, or it wasn't as good as you remember it being. I think The Mummy is. I think it is as good as we remember it being.
Yeah,
So
I think.
hey you listeners,
Yeah.
go watch The Mummy.
Go watch the Mummy, and I agree. Like, it's a fun time. I mean, like, you could see a world where it like really reached a different type of potential, because there's some stuff in the movie where I'm like, oh, if this was a little bit better, if this part of the movie was a little bit tighter, or if the visuals were like in the 2020 era and not this weird CG, there is a way. Or in my mind, there is a better Mummy movie out there, but the one that we got was like so good for its time, and even now
So
it's still
good.
a lot of fun. I mean, the things that I'm talking about, like making tighter, it's like, oh, they introduce like this pilot guy in the last half hour of the movie, and then they kill him. So it's like Brendan Fraser's like, oh yes.
Well, so he shows up.
Do they
He
show
is
up?
a little bit earlier in the movie. He's in the bar scene and he's like talking to a couple people, I think, where he's just like, oh, and he says that he wished, this is one character whose whole track is like he wished he died in the war, but he didn't. So he doesn't want to, he wants to go out with glory. And so, Rick O'Connell offers him that when they go back to Hamanoptera, and he does. Yeah.
I must have missed that part, because when I saw him, like, is this a new character? And why is he okay? I must have missed that entire part. So
nice. I mean, like, that was a very wholesome death for him. Like, it was what he wanted, right?
and then he went down in quicksand, which is
He did.
my nightmare. Quicksand?
Is it?
I feel like
His body was already dead.
Yes.
So, I mean, but you're right. That would really suck.
That would suck.
Yeah.
Yeah. Victoria, we're towards
Yeah.
the end of the show here, and before.
Do you want to take the quiz?
Oh yes, let's take the quiz. You're right.
Okay.
Let's do it. Okay. Victoria sent me a BuzzFeed quiz last night, and she said, should we do it now or on air? And we're doing it on air. So here we go. The quiz is called Everyone's Personality Matches a Character from The Mummy. Which one are you? Do you want to take us through this, Victoria?
Absolutely, I do. So our first question is, pick a role on an expedition. Our options are archaeologist, Egyptologist, bodyguard, treasure hunter, guide, the curse that follows the expedition. So we're gonna.
Okay.
Sometimes it's fun.
Do we say what we're picking?
Right. Yeah, I think we should. I think I'd have fun being an Egyptologist.
Okay, I'm gonna be the treasure hunter. I like that.
Oh, okay.
Pick a mode of transportation. We have camel, horse, plane, bus, boat, or walking. I'm going camel for the desert.
Going camel. Yeah, I think so.
Do you want to read the third one?
I sure do. Pick a statue of an Egyptian god to excavate.
Evacuate.
We've got Anubis, Thoth, Ra, Hathor, Amun, or Osiris? I'm going to go with Osiris. He is the god of the underworld.
And I'm going to go with Ra, the sun god.
Ooh,
Yeah.
the sun god. That's a good one.
Okay, pick a place to explore. Tomb, preparation room, throne room, treasure chamber, temple, or bedroom.
Oh, saucy option. I want to see this tomb.
Yeah, I'm going to go treasure chamber. Not bedroom. Like, that's boring. Why would you explore
a weird
bedroom?
one.
You're fucking
I don't know.
trying to find like old. Never mind. That's good. Old.
Don't say it.
1,000-year-old.
You didn't choose Hathor. You didn't choose Hathor, the god of erotica. I think it was that Hathor's an Egyptian fertility god. Yeah. Okay.
All right.
Pick an artifact to discover. We've got the Book of Amun-Ra, which is like the Book of the Living. The Book of the Dead, which they didn't give a different name to. The key/puzzle box. Canopic jars, which contain organs. The map to Hamunaptra, or a nice gooey mummy.
That was really funny in the movie. With the, like,
it was really funny.
Really juicy, gooey mummy. Oh.
I think I would take the map.
Ooh, that's good. That's good. The book is so shiny. I'm going to choose the Book of Amun-Ra. It's very shiny.
Amazing. Yeah.
Okay. How long is this quiz?
Not too long. Not too long. Don't worry.
Pick a weapon. No, it doesn't matter. If it's longer, who cares? People will listen to this. Pick a weapon.
Take it along with us at home, by the way.
Yeah. We'll read the URL. It's URL, thebuzzfeed.com/tessafahi/mummy-character-quiz. Okay, I'm done.
Maybe we just put the link in the post.
I guess that's easier. Pick a weapon to fight the mummy you awoke. Explosives. Brendan Fraser's character, very good with explosives in the movie. Pistol.
Yeah.
Sword. He also fights with swords, which is really great. Really, I was just thinking how great that would have been to film because they're all CG mummies he was fighting. So it was just him swinging a sword around. So cool.
Yeah. So good.
Sorry. Explosives, pistol, sword, religious symbols, dark magic, and cat.
Cat. I mean, it would be cat or dark magic, but I'm going with cat.
This quiz is reminding me of all the good stuff in this movie, like when Benny has all the symbols coming up, and he's just like, which one do I use?
Yeah.
Let's see.
What a survivor, that Benny.
Yeah. Pick to fight a mummy, eh? That's different because I'm like, to fight anything, like a sword is cool, but to fight a mummy, I'm gonna go cat.
Yeah.
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 All right, here it is. Who goes first?
You go first.
Okay, I got Jonathan as my guy, and the thing that it says is, let's face it, you're a bit of a scoundrel. Thank you. You love money, but you're not very good at keeping it accurate. However, you're really funny. Thank you. And you'll usually do the right thing in the end. Anyway, is it a crime to want treasure? Only sometimes. That's what I got.
Hey, I like that for you. That's a good one. I got Imhotep.
You mean the bad guy in the movie?
I am the mummy. It's accurate. Here's the description. You're just a hopeless romantic who would do anything for love. True-ish. Sure, sometimes you do a little murder and dark magic, but if it's for the person you love, it's okay, right? I love this. It's like, sure, sometimes you do a little murder. That's the
just a small little murder on the side, but
sprinkling a murder.
Just for love, like that makes sense to me.
Love, power, whatever.
Great quiz. Thank you, Victoria. I should probably do this on every Talking Tongue episode. Just random quiz. Before we leave it off for today, of course, you have to rate The Mummy.
Ooh. I'm gonna give it 8 out of 10 1999 eyebrows. Just a little one hair at a time eyebrows.
It's quite a look. It
is. It had its time in the zeitgeist of fashion, and it should stay in that time.
I felt really bad for her in the beginning of the movie when she knocked over those bookcases.
I know, but that was her fault because for a brief time that ladder was facing the aisle and she should have just taken the L.
But also, like, shouldn't those bookcases be more sturdy? Like,
You really should.
I
Yeah.
mean, that seems pretty dangerous that they like a little bit of a tip would just, I guess it was more than just a little bit.
Yeah, like why are they loaded so top heavy that it could do that, you know?
It's a bad library is what I'm trying to say.
Bad library.
Belle from Beauty and the Beast would be able to do a better job organizing that library.
You're absolutely right. But I mean, those bookshelves were built into a wall.
Oh, that's true. That's true.
Load bearing shelves.
At least she has nice eyebrows.
She did have nice eyebrows.
Victoria, so much fun to talk to you today on Talking Tongue. Do you have any plugs for the people at home?
Oh my goodness, I do not. You know what though? Get outside. It's hopefully by the time this airs, it'll still be nice out. Oh, hey, get out into that sun, pals. It's gonna be nice. Get that vitamin D while we still can, and keep your chin up. There's still plenty of joy to find, even as we trudge along on our quest for a vaccine and a return to some level of normalcy in the world. There's still lots of joy to find. So freaking do it.
It is such a nice couple days, at least if you're living in Ontario. I can't speak for all of Ontario, I guess, but
yeah. I mean, if you're in Hamilton, sorry about it.
Sorry, but it is really nice. It is one of those weird things where like I wake up, I'm wearing like a fall jacket and jeans, and then halfway through the day, I've turned into like a bro tank and shorts, and then
absolutely.
5 o'clock hits, and then I'm back to what I wore in the morning.
It's entirely sun dependent. Yeah, it's
definitely.
Like,
it's entirely raw dependent.
Hey,
is that something I could do better?
Let's pray to Ra. Let's do it. Almighty Sun God Ra, thank you for this bountiful D vitamin.
Oh, thank you, everyone. Everyone's favorite Egyptologist, Victoria Lulloff. Everyone.
Thanks, Tom.
Of course, and you can find the rest of the shows in the Pod Cavern at www.podcavern.com. Check it out. So many shows to just get your toes in, dip your feeties in, and I don't know where I'm going with this. If you look far enough into the Pod Cavern, maybe you can find a juicy, gooey mummy that will pop out that you can also make out with at some point. I don't know. Who knows? And that's it. Let's get out of here. But before we do, Victoria has a famous catchphrase.
Hey, look over there. It's a jar.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.